Hi everyone, Christian here, and I'm going to break down Filipino movies across all genres. I created this series for people who just wants to know the story and don't have time to watch the whole movie. But wait, I want you to watch the movie first to support Filipino movies and appreciate the whole experience before proceeding with the breakdown, because this video contains a whole lot of spoilers. Because of copyright issues from our previous video, I wasn't able to upload the video correctly. But that doesn't stop us to make another video. So, today we're going to break down a movie directed by one of the most influential and significant filmmakers in the history of the Philippines, Mr. Lino Broca. Insiang is a 1976 Philippine drama film. It's all about a young woman named Insiang and her mother who have a hard time growing up in the slums of Tondo, Manila. After her father left them for another woman, their life became miserable, especially for her mother, and when the mother's lover raped her, things begin to change for Insiang. This movie explores themes of betrayal, revenge, and despair. So, if you want to know all the main points of every scene and why this is one of the best films in the Philippines of all time, well, let's go ahead and break down Insiang. The movie starts in a slaughterhouse. I'm not ready for this scene when I first watched this. This is my first time seeing how pigs butchered. Now I know, right? Just be prepared with some gruesome scenes along the way. After some how it's made scene, we cut to a vendor. She is the mother of Insiang, who sells fish in the market, then the slums of Tondo, Manila. I know that life then was so simple, but we can't for a fact forget that there's still people that are poor and unlucky with their lives. I'm talking about children. Anyway, we saw Insiang walking across the bridge holding a bag of clothes because she is a laundry woman and she may be going home to wash the clothes or deliver them. But here we see that she's getting tired of it. The morning after that, we see Tonya and her sister-in-law and her family are living with them, still in their slumber. Tonya wakes her daughter Insiang to buy some sugar. Later that morning, her mother is in the market again to sell some fish. This is her everyday life throughout the movie. At the same time, her sister-in-law is having breakfast along with her family. Insiang decides to skip breakfast to deliver the clothes to the laundry shop to provide food for them. The sister-in-law is getting ashamed. She just hopes that her husband, Uncle Indo, can finally repay them. After she left the house, Insiang saw one of her cousins. His name is Edong, and is really desperate to find a job to help his family. But Insiang can't really help him. And the cut to this man. You can feel that this man has some lustful desires to Insiang. Spoiler alert, he's a maniac. His name is Dado. He tries to help but is immediately rejected by Insiang. And this man bats in to tell him who is he really trying to aim for, the daughter or the mother. A maniac is a maniac, of course. Both of them are his target. Later that day, they are having dinner. All of them are there. Insiang, Tonya, the sister-in-law, and also their family. While eating, their main topic is the brother-in-law of Tonya. How he is jobless and how can they still bring some babies to their home. And out of anger, Edong disrespectfully leave the house. Edong decides to get drunk with his friends and they are just comparing their lives to Edong. Then the next scene shows a not related to the story but it's there, I guess to contrast the life of Insiang, whereas the mother of this fine lady, her name is Shoni. Insiong? Shang-Chi? Never mind, I'm just trying to find a resemblance to their name. And the mother is protecting Shoni from men that are starving for her. Inside the store, we are now introduced to the friend of Insiang, Ludi, and her brother, Nanding, who has a secret feeling for Insiang. Nanding caught by his sister felching from their store to impress other women. Felching. Wait. No. Nanding caught by his sister filching from their store. Sorry for the use of words. Anyway, she just wants to impress Insiang, but they also mentioned that Insiang has a boyfriend named Bebot. Nanding is just shy to reveal his feelings for Insiang. That's why Bebot got her first. Out of nowhere, one of Edong's friends break a bottle of glass, and because of that, Edong got in trouble. because he gropes the breast of Ludi. Ludi tells it to her father, and that immediately escalates to the family of Insiang. Tonya is getting full of it and scolds her sister-in-law, and because of that, they just decided to leave the house for good. The sister-in-law also tells Tonya why she is dying to drive them out. It is because of Tonya's boy toy and how itchy she is. After that, Tonya talked to Insiang about how ungrateful her sister-in-law and family are to them, and how she hopes her father to die along with his mistress. Then, a cut to this man. He is Bebot, the boyfriend of Insiang. He may be a good boyfriend to Insiang, but he is also a jerk who thinks that he is strong, but he is also afraid of Dado. Dado always bullies him. The next scene shows Bebot going back to his work, asks his co-worker to advance his paycheck from his boss to use it for his date with Insiang. But the boss wasn't there, and he also loses his temper when his co-worker jokes about it. You can see how he is strong, but not to Dado. He can only pick fights with men that are less likely of himself. Back to the house of Insiang, she is ironing some clothes, and she notices her mother doing makeup to prepare for later. We will find out. Insiang doesn't have any clue yet what is about to happen. Tonya is becoming sketchy because why is she going to take a bath when she has already done her makeup? Insiang opens the faucet and goes to bed. Because of that, they forgot the faucet is still open. Insiang was awoken of her mother moaning. Insiang doesn't even bother to look and just immediately closes the faucet and goes back to bed. The morning after that, in the store of Ludi, Insiang apologizes for what his cousin does to Ludi. They just talk about what Tonya did to her sister-in-law and also how Tonya threatens her daughter, Insiang. And after that, Insiang goes back home to prepare breakfast for her mother. But she got shocked and realized someone is there. A man shows up in their shower, and that man is Dado, the boy toy of her mother. Insiang is really worried about why he is there. She asks Tonya if Dado is going to stay there. Tonya doesn't care if he is their neighbor. Now we are getting it. That is why her mother is moaning last night. And her sister-in-law is right all along for bringing her boy toy once they leave the house. Later that day, Insiang delivers the clothes to the laundry shop, and out of nowhere, Bebot helps her deliver the clothes. They just talk about why Insiang doesn't show up to Bebot's billiard play and how she doesn't like what Bebot is trying to do to her in the cinema. You can feel in this scene that Insiang really loves Bebot, but the man only wants to score with her. Again, Bebot asked her to go to the cinema tomorrow. Back to the house, Dado got some bruise on his head because instead of going to his work, he goes to gamble and got into a fight. Tonya doesn't like that. If he continues to be like that, they may break up, but Tonya is really just soft towards Dado. Insiang interrupts them, and her mother is always being bossy to her. Insiang bought some slippers, and just because of that, her mother is angry. She thinks that Insiang is trying to impress other men. And also, Tonya regrets the favors given when she was just a child, because when their father left them, Tonya is the only one who feeds her. Dado interrupts, and he comforts Tonya. Next, to the gambling house. Tonya and Dado are there to gamble. After Tonya lived with Dado, she became addicted to gambling, and at the cinema, we can see Bebot and Insiang. Bebot is trying to score to Insiang, but she doesn't like it because Bebot is trying to force his finger on her. It's funny because every couple in that cinema is just kissing. It's like how we Netflix and chill. This is what it's like before. We don't pay attention to the movie rather than to our partner. Look at this. Well, it's dark, but Bebot is just forcing her to kiss him. The morning after that, another scene of Shawnee and her mother. Even if her daughter doesn't make it, they are just trying again for that audition. Shawnee is really trying to achieve her dreams along with her mother. Whereas Tonya wants her daughter to degrade, even if Insiang has a chance to be a better person. Tonya is just selfish. See how they contrast the life of Insiang with Shawnee. Ludi and one of their neighbors insist Insiang to join acting, but Insiang only ignore it. Ludi invites Insiang to their house to try some lipstick, and Nanding is there to watch them. This is the only time that we can see Insiang is really happy towards her friends. Later that day, Tonya and Dado are talking about what happened in their gamble. I guess that the whole day, they were just gambling. And again, when Tonya just asked what Insiang did that day, she just became angry because of how Insiang responded to her. Insiang didn't respond disrespectfully to her. Tonya just despised her every day. and Dado is always there to defend Insiang. Because Dado has a nasty feelings for her, that is why. That look, that maniac look, ugh. Back to the store of Ludi, some of Bebot's friends are there, drunk and are making some commotions. Ludi decides to close early to go to some party of their father. They want Insiang to come with them, but Ludi is afraid of Dado. Ludi also doesn't want Nanding for Insiang because of some reasons. Then Bebot arrives to look for Insiang. Nanding heard him. Bebot becomes arrogant because Insiang didn't show up to him to their date. See how Bebot is only strong when he is in conflict with men lower than him. Later that evening, Bebot shows up at the house of Insiang to talk to something, but he only wants to make out with her. Dado saw them and interrupts them. Insiang tells Bebot that Dado is there. He is intimidated and immediately leaves the house. The morning after that, Tonya is angry because Dado tells it to her. So the next time she saw her with Bebot, it's not just a slap that she will get. It's just so unfair and selfish, you know? Anyway, we cut to the scene of Bebot and his friend are taking a shower. Bebot is just boasting if something happens to him, and Insiang, his friends, are the first to know. Without knowing, Dado is right behind them to threaten Bebot to not come close again to Insiang. At the same time, Ludi and Insiang are talking to each other about Bebot coming to their house and how Tonya treats her like not her own daughter. Also, Insiang is afraid that someday she might have grudges with her mother. Ludi says to her if Bebot really loves her, they just leave the place away from Dado and Tonya. So, Insiang decides to go to Bebot, but Bebot is trying to avoid Insiang because of what Dado says to him. Insiang goes to the place where Bebot works to have some serious talk. Bebot tells her the truth that Dado is interfering with them. Back to the house, Insiang looks for Tonya, and that is the time she confronts Dado on why he interferes with her life and threatens Bebot with their relationship. Dado is telling how Bebot acts to other women, and if Bebot really loves her, even if whatever he says to him, Bebot should always take care for her. And after holding Insiang, she fights back and Tonya witnessed it. Tonya misunderstood the scene. Insiang didn't respond and just called it a night. The next scene shows they again forgot to turn off the faucet. I know that this is intentional so that they can have sex without noise. Like, you can have sex without noise, right? But still, stop wasting water. Insiang tries to turn off the faucet, but before doing that, Dado knocks her unconscious, and that is his opportunity to rape Insiang. The morning after that, Tonya immediately approaches her daughter only to find her crying because of what Dado did to her. You may think that her mother is going to protect her, but not for long. Dado brainwashed Tonya by saying things that aren't true, and because his reason is that he is just a man. Oh come on Dado, it's a crime what you did to Insiang. Tonya tried to prevent herself from believing his lies, but whatever Dado says to her, he always convinced Tonya. Because of that, Tonya now defends Dado instead of her own daughter, who was sexually abused. This is the time that I lose hope for Tonya. Well, Insiang also loses hope to her mother. Insiang decides to go to her boyfriend to live with him, to get away from her family. At first, Bebot refuses because he doesn't have money to live with her, and he knows what happened with her and Dado. But instead, he takes her to a motel. I was convinced that Bebot is gonna be her last hope, but he only took advantage of that moment to score to her. He just hit and run. Insiang really trusts him that he is going to take care of her, that he will never ever let her go. But after that, Insiang is clueless and just decides to go back home. Tonya still accepts her, but she doesn't know that Insiang is a changed woman. The look is the look of wrath. The next morning, Insiang helped her mother in the market to sell fish, and later that day, Dado is being mocked by other people on how he nails both mother and daughter. Back to the house, Tonya delivers the bed of Insiang downstairs, but that doesn't stop Dado from coming into her bed. Dado confesses his feelings for her and that he is really sorry for what he has done, and also how he disgusts himself with Tonya, but it doesn't do justice to Insiang. And with that look, she has a plan. The next morning, Dado assists her. You may think that they're becoming okay, but this is only the start of it. Dado tried to drunk Tonya so that he can score to Insiang. Later that evening, Dado goes to Insiang's bed so they can have sex. Insiang really loses her dignity just to do the plan. At this point onwards, you may think that she likes him, but that is the plan, to take revenge for her mother. The next scene shows that Bebot ignores Insiang and her friend Ludi is sad for her because of the gossip about her and Dado. Nanding tried to comfort her and doesn't want to believe all of the gossips about her and Dado. Even if it's true, he doesn't care. He still loves Insiang. This is the time Insiang realized that there are still those who care for her and love her. But it is too late for Nanding. Insiang is tired of trusting people. She only trusts herself and she will not leave the place until she accomplishes her plan. By the way, she didn't say the plan to Nanding. And again, back to the house. Dado is trying his best not to get caught by Tonya by sneaking into Insiang's bed. After having sex, Insiang demanded something from Dado, that she wants to revenge on Bebot, and yes, it is a cut to Bebot beating up his ass to death. And wait a minute, some of the witnesses look like... Never mind, Bebot deserves this anyway. After that, Tonya receives the news of what happened to Bebot and that this satisfies Insiang. The night after that, Tonya woke up but Dado is not by her side. She also notices how sweaty Dado is, but she just ignores it and goes back to sleep. This scene shows Insiang is laughing because Tonya is still stupid about what is happening in their house. After that, Tonya is bothered by how unusual Dado treats Insiang, and some days she saw them happy with each other. This is the time Tonya realized something, so she confronts her daughter to know the truth. Insiang tells the truth of their relationship and how disgusted Dado with her body because she is an old woman. We can no longer feel the Insiang we know before. Here, all she ever has is revenge. She exaggerated all of it to make Tonya angry. After the confrontation, Dado arrived with some good news that he finally has a job in Cebu. Tonya tries to find a knife, and because of that anger, she stabs Dado from his back and stabs him to death. At this moment, that look of Insiang is the face of revenge, despair, and pure satisfaction of accomplishing her dreadful plan. She doesn't even bother to worry for her mother because that is part of the plan. The movie ends where Tonya is in a prison and Insiang visits her to confess what she has done and lied everything all of her feelings for Dado. And the only truth is that Dado has a feelings for her and nothing else. Insiang only made up all of those to make Tonya very angry to Dado, to the point that killing is the only option. Tonya thinks that Insiang is very happy now that she takes her revenge, but no. Still, she loves her mother, but it is too late for her mother because she is going to live with that guilt for the rest of her life. The end. Hold it right there. Insiang is that movie where you might think that it has a happy ending, but doing all of those revenge will only make you more miserable for the rest of your life. I know I made some fun with this movie, but jokes aside, Insiang suffered through a lot, and if somebody out there suffers like her, please, revenge is not the only way. You can get help so that justice will prevail. As a man, I hate knowing that there are men who abuse their power to women that are vulnerable to sexual abuse. Anyway, what I like about the movie is how we as the viewer can guess that Insiang is finally changed, how the lighting affects her personality from innocent to vengeful. But some of my dislikes is her whole plan to revenge, but that is the purpose of the movie, to feel what Insiang feels and what a woman who is sexually and mentally abused by anyone around her can do. It's a great movie nonetheless. It fits the category of one of the best films in the Philippines of all time. Well, I guess that's it for the breakdown. See you guys again in the next one. Ingat!